Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. So good morning, good morning, good morning. So just so you're aware, I just go straight into conversation. We don't really kind of wait for anybody to go live. We know people doing live. They can catch the replay and the
Okay.
recording will be available and sent to you. So good morning, everyone. Dr. Shanae here with the Collective Wellness Institute. Happy Thursday. We are on the countdown, literally, for Christmas. I'm super excited. It's my favorite time of year. I got to move my little the number countdown today, and I was like, wait a minute, it's only 11. We're only 11 days away from Christmas. So I appreciate the fact that you have joined me, Charlene, in this season. I know this is the season where you get your last little sessions in and you're
Oh
trying to get
yeah.
hustle and bustle with your presence and your team and your children. I saw you had back-to-back music shows for the boys. So I appreciate you joining me. Today I have with me Charlene Coles. Okay.
Coles, right?
Coles.
Yes.
I was making sure I didn't. It's so close
I
to
gotta change it on my Zoom, but
it's so close. It's so
I'll
close.
update it. Like
um
500 things I still have to update. So we'll
well, that's
take
that's
it one
that's the
one
world
week at
of
a time.
yes, right. That's the world of a practice owner. So listen, I'm going to let you, rather than me do it, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about who you are, who are you, and what do you do?
Oh man, so much. But I'll do my best. If you have any follow-up questions, I guess you can ask. But so yes, I am Charlene Coles, licensed marriage and family therapist, currently operating out of Gainesville, Florida, in the physical location, but serving the state of Florida statewide virtually. So I am a therapist, I am a wife, I am a mother, now three teenage boys, 13, 14, and 16. I am a daughter, a sister, a friend, all of those things. What I specialize in my practice is couples work. Couples therapy is held dear to me. I love working with couples in various states, dating, married, and engaged. I also specialize as a clinical hypnotherapist, so bringing that practice into my work, I love as well. And now, most recently, sound therapy. So being able to utilize the power of sound and music in our work and healing, getting people from one place to another using an alternative therapy, but also very effective form of therapy. What I love is music. So I had to bring that into the work that I do. I've always been a music lover. From the time I was young, you always found me with a radio, a stereo, tape recorder, microphone, all of that. So just being able to create things and bring some new diverse ideas into the work that I do, along with my personality, just being more laid back and cool, calm, collected. So bringing that vibe into the work is important to me. I love to skate also, so I always bring music into that as well, being able to jam and dance and roller skate. So that's me. That's Charlene, a Gator grad, so part of the Gator Nation. So being back in Gainesville again, just coming back to the Gator Nation is welcoming as well. So that's Charlene.
Good
There's more
stuff.
to me, but I
Oh
can't
yes. Oh
get
yes,
the
there
whole
is.
word spiel. We'll be here for a
It
while,
is.
but
I'll dig a little bit out.
doing the work here.
I
That's
would
the
definitely dig.
professional me.
Yes, ma'am. I would definitely dig a little bit out. So yeah, that's pretty cool. We've met, shucks. I met you when you were in school.
Yeah, preparing for practicum.
Yeah,
So it's
prepare for
been over,
practicum.
that was 2016. So
Wow, wow.
7 years ago. Yeah.
That is craziness. So yeah, I remember that. And interestingly enough, I think it's noteworthy. Like sometimes you'll cross paths with someone, and at that time, it's just not the right fit. Because at that
Mhm.
time, you were pursuing a site for practicum, but where
Yep.
we were, I don't believe we could accommodate you at that
Right.
time.
Yeah.
but you were um wise enough to hold on to that information and circled
Right.
back around a couple of
Came
years
back
later.
come supervision time, right?
Yes,
Needed
and we were able to
for
connect.
license.
And you how you I think you're probably the first person I saw through to the end, like from start to finish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you're the first person
Very nice.
I supervised from start to finish. There, some folks have come to me from other, like they had other supervision and they transitioned or
Mhm.
relocated. But I think you were the first person that started with and saw to licensure. And if I remember correctly, you passed the test on first try, you know.
I did pass it. I passed the test early. I did the test first. Like, I
Yeah,
didn't wait to the end. I was like,
did,
"Let
you
me get this
did.
out the way." And I did, thank God, 'cause
Yes,
the
yes,
MFT test is no joke. I mean,
mm,
it's a little different,
yes,
but
yes.
it's not the easiest, but
Yeah, it's
God be the
definitely
glory.
it is different from the for the test for the marriage, excuse me, the
Elementary.
mental health
Hmm.
counselors, which was
Yeah.
different because I was not able to identify as much with some of the you were teaching me along the way
Hmm.
around what to expect for that particular test. I think it
Yeah.
was very theory heavy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and very like old theory. So not
Yeah.
like the newer theories, but like going back to, some of the original theories. So
Yes. Yes.
the firm one.
So because of that history, I know more, right? Like I know so much more. And I'll keep it kind of surface.
Yeah.
But this was not your first career, if you will, correct?
No, it was not.
So
It's very
if you're
different. So
comfortable sharing a
yeah.
little bit about
Sure,
your
yeah.
transition.
So my first career was in law enforcement. So I was a police officer for 8 years with the Gainesville Police Department. So I actually started my master's program while I was still in that role. And that's something I had got into fresh out of college, maybe 1 year out of college. I was 22 years old. I wanted to be a detective. I wanted to be a homicide detective because I love the first 48. So that's what actually got me into that field. Whereas I originally wanted to be a lawyer. So I had planned to go to law school and then changed my mind on that. So I got into that field and fairly early realized that was not something I wanted to do for the next 20 years, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it took me a few years to figure it out and seeking God and trying to find what do I want to do. And things happen in my life, things happen in the lives of people around me that kind of got me thinking about or needing even to seek resources in relationship therapy and for my own um, marriage at the time. So that kind of got me looking, and then even seeing a lot of the people I knew, personally going through relationship struggles. That kind of just led me into getting information and then thinking about, oh, this is something I might like to do. So I went and pursued that degree and worked full time while going to school full time, and subsequently becoming a single parent for a time while doing all of that and finishing that up. And once it was time to go, it was time to go. So I said, I gotta go. I gotta go get my practicum hours. So I left that career. Actually, briefly returned to it for a little bit during my licensure time to work in the schools for the schools police down there in Pinellas
I
County.
remember
And
that.
then the pandemic happened, so everything shifted. But I always had the goal of getting into private practice. So even while I was in school, like I knew that was the goal. Like
Mhm.
I didn't really know much about what opportunities there were in the field and like how I could utilize my degree. I just knew like I wanted to do my own thing, and I had ideas for other businesses and programs and things I wanted to start. So even when I was in law enforcement, like I was always thinking about what can I do different, within this field. So being able to move, not just having opportunity to work in different areas of the department, and one being community resources, where they had a position that was community based. I loved that position because it gave me opportunity to be come up with new ideas, programs, work with kids, work with people in the community, start things that we didn't have, that are still there, you know, since I've left, like starting different programs for the department to engage with the community and the youth. So that giving me the opportunity to be creative and bring some variety and new ideas into the space, that was just something that was really, really great for me. It also, you know, gave me an opportunity to supervise a little bit. You know, we had a volunteer program, and then also to be able to practice my public speaking because I had to do a lot of that. So that was really good for me, even though it was something that I didn't think was for me. It
Yeah.
gave me a lot of the tools that I was able to utilize post that leaving that job. So that, and then yeah, so now being a therapist, it is unique to me. I did want to work with first responders because that was the population that I had spent so much time with, but even that has shifted focus to something else. I mean, that focus has shifted to something else because although I do love and would love to work with first responders, I find that it's a little bit harder to get them to wanting to go to therapy and go to counseling for whatever reason. You know, there's a lot of stigma around it, even for first responders to seek help and treatment. So just continuing on and being able to take that experience and use it now in a different way.
Yeah.
A therapist is kind of cool.
That's good. That's so rich. There's so much there. It's interesting because I was saying to myself, I gotta ask about the desire to work with first responders. I've had some exposure, and I had a couple officers as clients that, you know, specifically. But you're absolutely right. Getting first responders to recognize this as an opportunity. Well, actually, let me say it this way. My experience has been it's less about them recognizing that there's an opportunity to get help, and it's more about getting them to be comfortable with asking for help and not feeling like their careers are in jeopardy, right? You know, there's
Right.
this, you know, the code, there's the
Yeah.
stigma.
Yeah.
And so I do remind me to share a resource with you that I found that
Okay.
might be able to give some background around that. I've got some thoughts about that, but um, I think the culture is slowly changing. Slow. If 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 the culture of getting help, or the practice of getting help is changing in culture for marginalized people, and it's slightly slower in the change for law enforcement or
Right.
military personnel, which they
Right.
kind of fall in a similar category around the training. But change is good, and so there's opportunity whenever there's change. There's definitely an opportunity. So we'll circle
Yeah.
back to that.
Yeah. And then I have some specific ideas on how I could come into those spaces or bring, maybe start by, rather than focusing on one-on-one, but bringing like a workshop or a group. And I could do that. I honestly just would have to reach out and make those connections and talk to the higher up, the powers that be,
Yes,
and
yes,
get them on board, because
yes.
that's how it
So
is. It's chain of command. It's they say
yes,
it, they'll do it. So
yes. So I got
yeah.
a nugget for you. You know what? I'm gonna put it in the chat. Is there a chat here? No, I'm gonna text you. That's what I'm gonna do. I was gonna throw it out there, but I want you to have this nugget. I want the rest of the people to have this nugget.
Okay.
So remind me, I gotta give you this nugget.
Okay.
Because I think there's a gateway for you. Actually, I'm just putting it in a text message. Um, So one of the last times we spoke, you were podcasting. Are you still podcasting?
Yes, we are just slowly getting back into it. We actually, we are still podcasting. We love the podcast, I Get Better podcast, with myself and one of my good close friends who's also a therapist, Phaedra Smith. So we actually are still podcasting. We have 2 episodes that are unreleased that we recorded several months ago.
Okay.
But we just have to, we both gotten grown and gotten busy, I think, in our day job, so to speak. And so, yes, that is still alive and well. It's just slowed down, but hopefully we'll be reactivating it. And actually, what we want to do is take it to video, so that we're able to record it live and present it immediately rather than the audio version that requires a lot of editing and getting it together to present. So we're planning to do that hopefully in the new year, be able to bring it back in a different format, but still bring it back, and be consistent with that. So it's still alive. It's just asleep for a little bit.
And what's it called? What's it called?
It's called I Get Better. So I Get Better podcast.
Where could people find it?
It's everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. If you just type in I Get Better podcast, it'll pop up.
Perfect.
On all of those mediums.
Perfect. Because even though there's something not released, there's stuff already out there. So
oh yeah, we've got 3 years worth of episodes you can go back and listen to. But we're definitely still going to keep that going. It's really, really helpful. We're constantly getting feedback, even when we haven't released an episode, and people are still going back finding old episodes. So we definitely want to keep that going as a resource to the community.
That's good. You, if I recall correctly, you started with someone, right? And then you all decided to do some things individually.
Right. Yep. So that's how we started as a partnership. Same person I do the podcast with. We started a practice together, living in 2 different locations. So inevitably, it kind of led to being able to branch off and do our own thing. So now, the last 2.5 years, I've been solo, and now growing into a group practice. So should be hopefully in the next few weeks bringing on my first official hire, to add to the practice to make it a group practice. So it's a group in theory in that we have multiple offices, but I'm still solo in the building for now, but very soon we'll be adding to the team.
Good stuff. It's a process. That's a completely different process.
Right.
But
underestimated process until I got into it.
Yeah, I could do a podcast just on that.
Just on that. Listen to it so I can know.
Just on that. And honestly, part of that, I think it was different before. I think the opportunities and the variables that one would consider were slightly different before, and that's a different conversation. But I will check in with you about that in a little bit. I talked a little bit about the fact that you changed careers, that your journey to become licensed, that you started with a partner, you had a podcast. I want to know in the process to get where you are today, what's the greatest thing you learned about yourself?
I learned about myself that I have to be willing to let go of the need to control things and really to have a faith foundation, because that's the only thing you really can come back to when you need to keep going. So really, that being the most important thing. Like it's always been important, but there's another thing to realize that's the most important thing at the end of the day. But learning, yes, definitely how to be comfortable with giving up control and being willing to adapt and adjust and be flexible, and not have to know all the answers, not have to. I learned it's okay not to plan everything. And
Yeah.
because I've always been a planner, I've always been the person who, if I say it, I'm going to do it. People know if I say this is what I'm doing, Charlene's going to do it. She's not going to be swayed, and don't try to
No,
convince her
she's not.
otherwise. So she may listen to you, but she's not going to listen to you. So
That's true.
yes, listen and obey, I guess, are two different things. So I'll listen, but not necessarily do what I'm being told. So really, to be able to get comfortable with the unknown and the uncertainty, but from a place of safety and security, knowing like it's going to be okay. So I have learned about myself that I'm better when I'm able to give up control, rather than
Yeah.
the idea
Yeah.
that I'm better being in control of everything and
That's
knowing that
good.
happens. So that has been the I think the most important lesson that I've learned. I had to learn it quite a few times before I really got it and grasped it. But once I did, it made things so much easier for me,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
much smoother,
Mm-hmm.
so much calmer and relaxing for me to be
Yes.
able to just let go of the need to control what happens and when it happens.
That's
So
really good. You said you learned that you are better letting go of control than you are being in control. Man, if what would they say, if that my pastor say that dog will hunt. That
yeah.
that is that is so true. It's so it's I think it's a common trait for folks who choose to go into an entrepreneurial space, to kind of you're visionary. So a visionary with control is ownership, right? Like you're willing to own your choice. You're going to make a decision, you want to own your choice. But the other side of that is you can't own all the choices. You can't own all the activity. You can't own all the outcomes as well. And so then that will drive you crazy because you just you, there's not a remote control that gets to do all the things.
Yeah.
It's really, really impactful to be able to recognize that you are better when you let go. And when I hear that, I hear the person that you are, right? Like how not only how you feel, but the person that you are to the people who are with you is better
Right.
when you've learned to let go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other element to that is, again, as a visionary, you said something. You said, "I'll listen to you." I'll listen to you, but I won't necessarily do. And I know you'll be respectful. You'll hear the person out. But if you have your mind made up about a thing,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's gonna be.
It's what it's gonna be. I'm very decisive. I will put it that way. When I make a decision, I make a decision. That may be a gift and a curse, but I'm
It's
very
you
decisive.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe so. But to be a visionary, that's necessary. You have to be able to make a decision. You have to be able to be decisive. If you wishy-washy and you're driving a ship with folks following you, then you're
Right.
tossing them back and forth. And
Right.
so it's like the flip side of the thing. If someone wants to be heard and validated, and the way that they feel validated is that you do what they suggested you do, then that's not going to feel good. But it's also very comforting to know that when you make a decision, it's going to get done. And I can say that I have had the opportunity to witness that. It
Right.
didn't matter if it was a certain position, if it was a certain moving to a state, if it was
Right.
relationship oriented, if it was the boys. If you made a decision, it was going to get done. I don't
Right.
think you've ever told me anything that you put your mind to do that you
And
didn't
I didn't
that
do
you
it.
did do.
Right. Well,
There's
it was
one
like
thing
that
in the
when I was
balance.
leaving. When I was leaving my job as a police officer, I kept telling everybody, like, because I worked as a school resource officer, so we all worked together and would meet up. And I'd say, "I'm leaving. I'm leaving." They're like, "You're not leaving." I'm like, "Yes, I am. I'm out of here. Y'all just don't know." Until they saw that notice come out. I told you I was leaving. You did not believe me for some reason. And like, why don't you stay? Because they say, well, why don't you stay? Get your retirement, do your
Yeah,
20. I'm like,
right.
that's 12 years away. Oh, you can do 12 years. That's nothing. I'm like, are you crazy? I'm not about to stay here for 12 years to get a retirement check. I'll get my retirement later, So it was just so unheard of, right? Why would you
Yeah.
leave this job security?
Yes.
You're good, it's fine. You could do that later. And it's like,
Yes.
no, don't doubt me. If I say I'm leaving, I'm leaving. Sure enough, I was out of there, a few months later. So yeah, don't tell me what I'm not gonna do.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna do it.
This is true. Now, there's one thing in the balance. There's one thing that for me that I remember. There's one thing in the balance,
What's
and
that?
that was Texas. Texas
Oh,
still
I'm
got your
still
eye.
going. I just don't know when. That's what I mean by having a plan, right? And giving up control, because I've been moving to Texas since 2014 and was about to, as 2020, right before the pandemic, I was literally applying for a
Yeah.
job with the police department in
Yeah.
Texas. Like, oh, I could start my practice, I could save my money. I had a full plan, and pandemic said, nah, we're not doing that right
That's
now.
right.
So that's where that wasn't like the last time I had to learn that lesson, but one of the more significant times where I had to be willing to have a plan and be patient for it also, because you don't know the when, you know the
Yeah.
what. And so a lot of the things I have gotten, the what, I don't get the when. We'll try to put the when in there on our
Yeah.
own. Like we set dates for stuff all the time. We said, like, okay, by the end of the year, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. But to be honest, we're just making them up. There's no real rhyme or reason to
Mm-hmm.
say why I have to do this in the next 30 days or the next 6 months or the next year. So I learned, like, when it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. Not to say sit still and do nothing, but I can't dictate or control. And there are things just out of our control that happen.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
pandemic is a major one, but
Yeah.
even beyond that, just life. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know what opportunity is going to come to you and when. So if I were to have done that, so many other things wouldn't have happened. So
Yes.
it's like, if I would have left way back when I
Yeah.
thought I was leaving, who knows where I would be now. But
Yeah.
it's just a matter of being patient. So yeah, it's still on my horizon. I just still don't know when, but
That's good.
I haven't forgotten about it. I haven't gotten to a place where it's written off my list. I just don't know when.
Gotcha. It's good. My girlfriend has relocated to Texas, and
Yeah.
so I've gotten to see where why that can be attractive,
Yeah. Yeah.
in some
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Um,
I had a family member do that. She left. She heard me talking about it. She said she wanted to go, and she ended up going before I went. So it's like, okay, well, I know I can come out there and visit you in the
exactly.
meantime. So that's the plan.
Exactly. That's so good. It's not the when, it's the what that we have control over. And that's so powerful. I had shared not too long ago that, time is none of our business. We just that's not our business. God,
Right.
only person business is time is only related to God. Like he's the only one that can do
Yeah.
anything about time. Um,
Right.
we can do it,
That's
we can
true.
do some other
Yeah.
things, but
Yeah.
we all got 24 hours. You can't
Right.
manage it. You can't make more. You can't reduce it. The only
Right.
thing you can do is steward it. And
Yeah.
so when we get used to that and we learn how to be better with how we use the time that we have,
Right. Yeah.
and that's slowing down and speeding up, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Because sometimes we waste time. A lot of time. Well, that's what I found has plagued me is the wasting of time. Not so much because yes, I we get mixed messages, right? We have clocks, we have calendars. Then it's it's kind of there's organization, there's structure, there's appointments, there's this. So it's like, yes, you're supposed to be adherent to time, but then on this other, on the when it comes to dreaming and planning and visionary and manifesting things, you can't be beholden to a clock for those things. So it's like, yes, be on a schedule, but then no, don't be on a schedule.
Absolutely.
So it's hard to reconcile it sometimes. And then things not always being emergent, because that for me is, okay, you have your what, you have your why, you may not have your when, but if the what doesn't necessarily come with a major reward, or what you can see as a big reward, or that you see that you need as a reward, it's difficult to take action, because it's like, well, I'm good, I'm good where I am, I'm good. It's easier to stay where I'm at than to take on this new thing that's going to get me to a new place and require more from me, right? Require more energy and effort and time. So just being able to push past that, having to see right away the benefit of it, what's to come from doing the thing that you're delaying. It's tough to say, okay, I got to do this now, even though I really don't have to do this now.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good. The delayed gratification of disrupting your peace. You get used to doing a thing a certain kind of way. It could be working full time in a cushy position or in a stable position. It's become an entrepreneur. Wait a minute. Whoa. You don't put my job aside. Resign. You return my notice in. You have no benefits when you what?
No guaranteed check.
No guaranteed what? And you have to rely on the fact that your tangible income is directly connected to something you do or don't do, as opposed to you punch the clock. Whether if you punch the clock, you just sat there and found yourself a corner. It's not the thing to do, but you was still gonna get a check for a little while till they caught on to you.
Yep. It was gonna come to you no matter what. Whatever you did in the late hours, this was on you. But you was gonna get it.
Yes. So that's good stuff. Well, I think you've already answered this, but I'm going to ask it just to be sure. Your ideal client. Who's your ideal client?
That I'm gonna answer. I haven't had to answer this question in a while, but it's changed, because this is another thing I think, and this is important. I think hopefully this is something that's going to help newer clinicians coming in. Like, I'm still kind of new, but newer than me. To have to identify your ideal client, I think is limiting, because what I found in growing as a person and growing professionally and developing as a therapist is that my ideal client finds me. I don't find them. And so what all I can do is show up in the space authentically, every space that I present myself in authentically, and the people who are for me will be drawn to me. And so ideally, I could say I want this type of client, but this other type of client might be the one who needs me. And so no one, I don't believe that any client comes to me that I cannot help because they're meant for me. There are clients who never reach out to me, and those weren't my clients. And I might have said, ideally, that's my ideal client because they look like on the surface. Client. But it's kind of impossible to know, because until you actually meet a person and they communicate with you and you talk to them. So one client with anxiety is not the same as another client with anxiety. It's not the same as another client with depression. So I think that it's helpful when you're trying to develop your skill set to be able to help a certain issue or condition. But at the end of the day, my ideal client, if I had to answer it, is one who wants to come consistently and do the work and whatever that work is. Because if I say it's only this type of person, there are other people who may also benefit from me and my knowledge and my expertise, who may be missed. And so ideally it would be someone who needs and is ready to do the work, needs help and who's ready to do the work, and who is looking for what I have to offer
That's
and
good.
my, so that would be my ideal client. Now, I do enjoy working with couples where others may not. So ideally, any couple, but I can't say this couple with this specific thing or this specific issue. Understanding that if someone comes to me and I absolutely cannot help them, or I do not have the competency to address whatever issue they're having, then I would refer them out. But I
Sure.
rarely have to do that because the people who find me we click, it happens for us, and I can't ever say I've really had an issue that came up for me that I was just totally like, I can't do this, or I can't deal with this. After I actually met the client. Now, prior to, we may never get started, but I don't have a specific avatar because I've had to do that. I've had to build an avatar. I've had to build business. And what I find is certain types of people end up finding me, but they're all different still. There are similarities and there are differences, but ideally I want the clients who are for me. And I can't dictate what they look like on paper.
Yeah, no, I think that's rich. So is the first two young ladies that I interviewed both found themselves enjoying working with diverse populations. And when I say diverse, I don't mean solely ethnically, but they worked with children, they worked with families, they worked with couples, they worked with wives, they worked with they found the versatility in their day to be refreshing and rewarding. Would you say that is true for you as well? Like you enjoy a little bit of a teen here, a couple here, a child here, a family here, or no?
I do enjoy diversity because I am very quick to get bored with the routine. I do not. I would say ideally I don't work with children, young children alone. I only work with them in the context of working with them as a family, with their parents. So I do not promote that I specialize with working with children. I've worked with children so many years that I'm comfortable with children. But as far as the work and my method of working, it's not serving them well to just meet with them individually,
Sure.
6, 7, or 8-year-olds, but being at teenagers, I'm fine working with. I get them sporadically because I don't market to them that way. So my marketing isn't really set up to call in the younger population. But if they find me, I don't necessarily turn them away. I'm not going to say, no, I don't see children. I will say, I will see them in the context of seeing you and your child, not just your child. So, but yes, having the diversity, and then too, you learn from your clients too. You're not just teaching them. And so the more you specialize, so to speak, which I do agree with specializing to some extent, because you can't know everything and you can't be great at everything.
That's correct.
But there's so many ways to help people that and also develop. You're still a work in progress. I've not arrived. I get better every year as a therapist. So as a first year therapist, my clients got a good version of me, but they get a better version of me if they come back now. So being able to broaden, your age range or the issues that you work with, so to speak, and really a lot of the issues can be addressed. I guess it's hard for me to say this, but there could be so many issues or diagnoses, so to speak, that could be helped by one model of therapy could address all of those issues, right? Rather than it be this issue only can be served by this type of model or this type of therapist. And so you're limiting people's access to you, and you're also limiting your growth when you say, I'm only going to serve this type of client for this issue, right? I'm only going to specialize in women with grief. Okay, yes, you can be really good at working with women with grief, but you also have other skill sets that could potentially help other people who may
Mhm.
need you and may not have access to you because
Mhm.
you say, I'm only going to work with women with grief, which I don't particularly have that specialization of working people with grief. But if someone came to me, I would try my best to help them. But I'm not
Yeah,
going to say, well, I don't work with women in grief,
I don't
so
do grief.
over here, right? Because you're not you. Who are you to say what you don't do or what you can't do? It kind of goes back to that timepiece. Who are you to
Mhm.
say
Mhm.
that you're in control of
Right.
who you can help? So I look at it, and it's been that way. Being an entrepreneur, when you're in community health, you get who you get, right? You're not able to
Yes,
say I can't see that person because that's not
that's
my
true.
specialty. They don't care. Here's your caseload. Here's your and
That's
what
right.
do? You work with them because that's your pay, that's your job. That's what
Yeah,
you're getting paid
that's
for.
true.
Except in an extreme case where maybe you can get them transferred or something like that. It is what it is. You serve who comes to our door. So
Whoever
you
we
know,
give you.
yeah. And
That's
then
true.
they believe in you. They believe in your competency to be able to do that. However you can. So I think my ideal client is whoever goes to my website and reads my bio and likes what they see and decides to move forward, because there are people who won't. They
That's
won't go
true.
past that point.
That's
They'll
true.
say, "Oh, this isn't." They don't whatever for whatever reason. I don't know what people goes through someone's head when they're searching for a
Mhm.
therapist, but they like it or they don't.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm showing up authentically, right? Because if I was to only show up to say, this is the only client that I'm here to help and only with this issue. So
Mhm.
many people I've met and worked with, I would have never met and
That's
worked with.
good. That's
So
good.
I have to be willing to be open, but still, recognizing that I can't do everything, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I may not be a good fit for something. If
Yeah.
something is out of my scope, it's totally out of my scope, then it's out of my scope, and I'm just gonna say, I don't think I can help you. But
Gotcha.
um, that's not a common occurrence for me.
Good stuff. So, what would you say you wish you would have known um before entering the field?
Hmm. So many things because you really know nothing until you get into um that there's I think number one, more about business, for sure. I think everyone says that, but it's true. Like how things work on the back end,
Mhm.
that people don't see. It's not just showing up, doing the therapy session, and then going home. There's so much more that happens before and after. So I wish I had known more about the business side of therapy,
Mhm.
and then just the different things you can do with it, which I'm learning more and more each day, is that there's so many other ways to help. And so I think everything I've done, even, starting from being in a career in law enforcement, it was about helping people, right?
Mhm.
Ultimately. And so this is just another helping profession. So
Yes.
being able to um, be open to all alternative ways to help people, and not be limited to we've got to do it this way because this is the way it's always been done.
Yeah.
Like there's other ways, and being open to it really expands your opportunities. So I wish I would have known more, because maybe I would have done some things different on the front end. But I think I'm ultimately still where I need to be. And so I'll still learn more on this journey. So I wish I would have known that, and again just the business side and marketing side and all of that. I'm still uh very much a rookie on that, the marketing and the what has to happen
Yeah.
your to get to your ideal client, or to get visible.
Yeah.
How to get visible in this space.
That's good. Um, I know you mentioned some things that you love. You mentioned you really love music. You mentioned you love skating. Talk a little bit about how you stay well since you spend so much time helping others.
I stay well by, first of all, setting a schedule that does not lead to burnout. That is the top thing I do. I do not work so many hours in a week. I think I may be underwork. I could probably work more hours, but I found a schedule that works for me for now. It may
Hmm.
change. But I definitely manage my time in such a way, my work time in such a way that I limit it so it doesn't overwhelm me. I try to set limits on how many clients I see in a day. It does not always work out that way. Like today, I have a full day after this. So being able to balance the off time and the work time for sure. The things I like to do to de-stress, like I love just being home and relaxing, hot bubble bath, jumping in the jacuzzi, the hot tub, something like that. That's really relaxing for me. Staying out of stressful situations as much as
Hmm.
possible. So finding a place, right? So for me, the place is home, but for others, it's somewhere else that they like to go.
Hmm.
That's their place of peace and calm,
Hmm.
and being able to identify where I can access that whenever I need it. Um, I try my best to take care of my physical health. I don't always succeed in eating right and exercising, but skating is a form of exercise, but I could always do more. But always learning too about ways to manage my physical health better. So I've been learning more in the last couple of years about what the body needs nutritionally, and dietarily, and how that also impacts our brain functioning and our mental
Yes.
health too.
Yes.
So, learning more so I can be well, so I can be healthy, so that I can live long as I
Hmm.
can,
Hmm.
and not neglecting that side. I am not the typical go out, get my nails done or anything like that because I don't like to spend money. I'm very conservative in spending, so I don't need to spend money to have a good time. Always finding something to do at the house because it's already paid for. So keeping my financial wellness intact is self care for me.
It's
Being
important. Yes.
being able to not be stressed about money, I think has served me the most when it comes to self care, budgeting, planning, and not working for the dollar. I can't do that. I work because I love it, not
Yeah.
because that's what drives me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, being able to spend time with friends and family, I think just the shift that happened in during the pandemic that really changed social connections in a way
Yes.
that I didn't expect. So it's harder now to connect socially. Although I consider myself a social person. I don't consider myself an introvert or anything like that. But just having a harder time actually physically connecting with people for whatever reason, schedules being different, or just I think a lot of people are more in the house now than they used to be, including myself. So being mindful, knowing that I do need that as a part of my self care and being intentional about it. So going out, going to events, going places, not just staying home all the time. Although I do enjoy being home because it's comfortable for me to be home and it's quiet and it's peaceful. But being able to connect with people socially is energizing for me.
Good. Okay. Good stuff. Um, you always been frugal. I've always
Hey,
respected that. You always
yeah,
been about your
you
business.
know
Yeah.
me.
It, if therapy didn't work out, you was gonna do something financial. I mean,
Uh, yep,
you've always
definitely.
been good about that. And then I think that's helpful. It is helpful in giving you a level of peace actually in navigating private practice because private practice is very temporal. You know, there's it's subject to change in the economy, it's subject to change in demographics, it's subject to change in mental health, practices, and if you bill insurance subject to change and reimbursement, all of that. So being
Yeah.
able to have some solid financial foundation, which I have no doubt that you had before you launched, is helpful for you to have a sense of peace. And I really believe as a therapist that is able to enter private practice without the financial concern is a better therapist. You make better choices. You make choices that are grounded in doing the right thing and not grounded in getting the next dollar. And there's a
Right.
delicate balance, right? Like you obviously need to get paid for what you're doing, but there are people out here 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, hour days. And it's like that's not just we won't even go into that.
I
Anyway,
ain't
I'm
doing
so
yeah,
glad
yeah,
that
yeah.
you are
Yeah.
not
That
doing
and too.
that.
Yeah, right. But
I mean, there
everybody's needs are different too. So that's another thing. You have to be familiar with your own needs. Stay in your
yes,
own corner. Worry about
yes,
yourself. Your own
yes,
lane.
yes,
Don't try to keep up with the Joneses or
yeah,
anybody else
yeah,
in their lifestyle. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. I had a conversation with someone some years ago. She said something that was pretty powerful, and it was actually true. There's some people, and it's going to sound a little sarcastic, but it's not meant in that way, that are too broke to be in private practice. Like you you don't have enough financial and emotional wellness
Right.
to be in private practice. And if that's true and you're chasing whatever you see everybody else doing, you're actually set yourself up for a much harder experience because
Yep.
it's got that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway,
Right.
so
We have to come back part two on
yes,
that.
yes,
TED talk on the
yeah,
finance side.
listen. So what's next for you? What's next for you?
So many things. I sometimes it's like my brain is like a faucet that won't turn off with new ideas. So I that's the part I can't really answer definitively because I have so many things I want to do. It's
Okay.
hard to focus on one thing, but I'm trying to what I plan to focus on. I'll put it that way. So number one is bringing on another clinician so that I can take a little bit of a step back from one-on-one care so that I can focus on the next thing. So the next thing for me that I'm working on in the process of working on, which may pivot, I don't know, we'll
Mm-hmm.
see, is developing my own program, my own model, my own sound therapy program. So
Okay.
I'm working on that because ultimately, once I finish that, I plan to be able to um, present it in various formats to
Yes.
different organizations and groups, and then also train other clinicians on it. So that is a work in
That's
progress
good.
that takes a lot of time. So developing
Yes.
my integrative therapy model, utilizing sound therapy, which takes time. I'm doing the research, I'm writing, I'm doing all
Yeah.
the the legwork, um, gathering my materials and instruments and things like that. So that's what I'm working on, trying to focus on now, getting that program completed, hopefully potentially getting some grants to be able to run that program. And so that's what I want to direct my time to
I love
next.
it. That's good stuff. Awesome. I can't wait to hear more about that.
Mhm.
Um, so how can people find you? Talk about marketing. How can they
Oh,
find you?
well, I can be found. Yeah, so I'm not the best for social media, but Charlene Renee everywhere. CharleneRene. So one E. So Charlene Renee is my social media on Facebook, on TikTok is Block Therapist actually. On Instagram is underscore Miss dot Charlene Renee, not underscore Miss dot Charlene Renee. And so I actually have two practices technically, but the new practice, the group practice, is All Well Health Services. So All Well Health, which is in Gainesville, and then Charlene Renee, you can find me everywhere else. So,
Awesome.
yep.
And do you take insurance?
I do. I do take insurance. I'm in network with a few insurers and quite a few EAP programs now. So a lot of people aren't aware of the fact that they can use their employee assistance programs. Check with your employer. They may have one for you. A lot of employers do. And so being able to connect. So I'm in network with Aetna, Cigna, United Health, but then also Spring Health and CompPsych and Health Advocate, and just added Alliance EAP. So
Good stuff.
all of those I'm in network with. And so I'm pretty accessible to most people. Not Blue Cross, but
Awesome. Awesome. So that's gonna bring us to an end. I just wanted to just kind of point out a couple of things that are pretty powerful. I love the fact that I know that you DJ. You didn't say that, but
yeah.
that
Well, I put that down. I actually got rid of all my stuff. I have one board, but it's in my attic collecting dust. So I haven't done that in a while. I still make good playlists though on Spotify.
I love
So
it. I
everybody
love it.
follow me on Spotify. I can share my playlist.
All right, I'm gonna have to check it out. So I love the fact that you have been able to, as you said, be authentic, be true to the parts of you that are important to you, and courageous enough to put those out there in the world so that people can find you, and the people who resonate with who you are, and that you have committed to service those people, the people who identify you as an appropriate partner in the journey to health and wellness. You have made a commitment to get them to that place, and so I love to see the growth. I love to see from whence you came, the stories, the travel, the relocations, the purchases. I love it. It's a joy for me to be able to see that, and I have nothing but positive thoughts about where you're going and what's going to happen next. I want folks to understand that the the process of being a therapist doesn't eliminate your humanity, right? It doesn't eliminate life coming in. It doesn't eliminate having to adjust to things like a pandemic or relationship changes, but um, you can still do it. You can still do it well. And it's okay. I heard this so many times as you were saying it. You didn't use this language, but it is okay to change your mind. It is okay to change your mind. It is okay not to have all the answers. It is okay to figure it out along the way. It is okay to accept it as a journey. So hopefully, those who get a chance to tune in will recognize all those valuable nuggets you dropped. You dropped a lot of them. Though that most of what you said could be dropped in your next episode if you.
I know. It'll come back to me. It's not going anywhere. But yeah, you know, you also seen me through my hair growth, right? I was
Yes,
like here
sir.
when you
Yes, I was just saying that
the
in my
good 3
head,
years
like
of
those
growth,
locks have grown.
right? So you've seen the hair journey too.
I have, I have, I have.
From here to here. So that's how
This
long you've been with me.
That's growth. Growth is the journey is it's amazing to be able to be a part of uh, your life and see. I've seen the boys grow. You know, I be
Yeah,
feeling like an auntie on them.
they'll
Okay,
be
what they
grown
doing?
now.
Yes,
Yeah, they was little. Now one's
yes,
about to be driving and everything. So
yes.
yeah.
So
Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention too, as far as self-care and a thing I do, I have my own therapist too. So I forgot
yes,
to mention that. So I do attend therapy. Therapists need therapists too. And I think that helps people to know that we also, you know,
yes,
utilize that resource. So
yes,
being able to attend therapy, and I talked about getting into therapy for years. So now I kind of see the other side of it, like how, you know, you'll see people and you'll wonder, why don't they go to therapy? They need therapy. Well, I took a long time and
yes,
procrastinated on getting into
yes,
therapy. So even knowing the benefit of it. So now it helps too to give people a little more grace and compassion
yes,
when they play and seek resources. It takes a lot to make that step and go through the process and find and commit to it and stick with it. So
yes,
it's helpful when you see it from the side.
yes. You're on the
I
money
forgot
with
I
that.
wanted to emphasize. Yeah. So Yes, but yes, thank you. I appreciate you bringing me back around, and
Yeah,
hopefully this is helpful
more to
to
come.
those getting started. I'm also
Yes.
planning to become a qualified supervisor, so that's
All
next
right.
too. I forgot
Come
about
on.
that.
Come on.
Coming up on January, I'll be able to become a supervisor January. So I plan to pursue that also.
Good stuff. There's some things coming down the pike that I will share with you all offline. But yeah, again, I appreciate your time. I'm thrilled to be able to witness the growth. Super on all levels. The hair, the boys, the marriage, the practice, like that just woo. I got an email yesterday that one of my supervisees is expecting her first child. I'd be feeling like a grandma and an auntie over here, okay?
Okay.
But
Don't
anyway,
look for no grandkids for me. That we not doing. That is not on the horizon for me.
but your boys are growing so quickly and
Oh
they're
yeah,
just brilliant. Those boys are brilliant. But I appreciate those of you who have joined in, who will catch the replay. I appreciate that you don't count it robbery that you spend time with us in this conversation of just going down the path of becoming and growing as a clinician. I'm Dr. Shanae with the Collective Wellness Institute. You can find me at thecollectivewellnessinstitute.com or Dr. Shanae. I think I'm Dr. Shanae on IG. I'm really bad at IG. All my stuff, I go to Facebook, Shanae Simmons. And if you need to email me, if you're looking to email me, if you're looking for your supervision for yourself, that is Dr. Simmons at communityvictory.com. I trust that everybody will have an amazing rest of their week and have a phenomenal holiday. And stay tuned for the next. I believe next up is Caitlin McGinnis, and she will be next Thursday at 9:30. There will not be a 8 o'clock today. All right. Take care.
Bye. Thanks.
Make sure that